Colonies are not established overnight. It takes time, years of meticulous planning, a lot of money and muscle power. The British Raj in India began with spice trade. The French colonization of North America began with seemingly innocuous voyages. The Dutch began trading in Indonesia before they started interfering in Java's internal business. Britain began controlling Africa through local leaders before the Crown sent its troops. Do you see the pattern? Colonizers do not come with a warning sign. They definitely do not take a fixed route. In the 21st century, they come disguised as development partners. Case in point, China. It has schemed its way into countries and has diversified its expansionist policy, and we've told you how Beijing has infiltrated top firms, how it is interfering with decision-making in foreign governments. Now let's take a look at the bigger picture. These are the three I's of Chinese colonization. Number one, investment. Number two, influence. And number three, interference. Let me start with investment. Beijing is investing in infrastructure projects in 60 countries, 6-0. These countries account for 60% of the world population and 30% of the world's GDP. Between 2013 and 2018, China invested nearly $614 billion in BRI countries, countries which are members of China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. Morgan Stanley predicts the number will go up to $1.3 trillion within a decade. What explains China's Belt and Road Initiative better than colonialism? This article in the New African magazine reads, "In Africa, it is clear that China's campaign of foreign investment is a new form of colonialism." Malaysia's former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad once said, "The BRI risks becoming a quote-unquote new version of colonialism." This, of course, is before Mahathir bowed down to Beijing and started singing a different tune. You see, this is not the 16th or the 17th century. China cannot use its army to conquer land, although it has tried that too. But a smoother way is to conquer with cash. China lays the dead trap. Colonizers like to project themselves as messiahs. The British Raj, for example, was supposedly good for India, the white man's burden and what have you. The British came with a promise of civilization. The Chinese enter with a promise of development. Which brings us to the second I, which is influence. China manipulates the narrative. It tries to influence. In 2016, Chinese President Xi Jinping tasked the state media with selling the China story. In the last 4 years, Beijing has signed media cooperation agreements with BRI countries. In Thailand, for example, more than a dozen media outlets have inked deals with Xinhua. 2019 was named the ASEAN-China Year of Media Exchanges. China is conducting media outreach programs in almost every continent on this planet. The aim is simple and the purpose is clear. Beijing wants to tell the entire world that China has good intentions, and like Xi Jinping said at the United Nations General Assembly this year, China will never seek expansion. Of course, we believe him. As we speak, nearly 500 Confucius Institutes have sprung up around the world. In 2004, that number was just one. Last year, the Human Rights Watch said these institutes consider political loyalty while hiring people. Their job is, of course, to sell the Chinese narrative. Remember the role of local rulers in Britain's colonization of Africa. This is history playing out all over again. And now to part three of the Chinese strategy, interference. And we've covered most of it already, how China has positioned members of the Chinese Communist Party in consulates, universities and top firms around the world to interfere with policy making, to influence governments. If you followed this show closely, you'd know that none of what I've said tonight is surprising. The signs of Chinese colonization are staring us in the face. What's surprising is the world's response to it, or should we say, the lack of it. Thank you for watching Gravitas on WION's YouTube channel. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening around the world, then subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like and share. Thank you very much for watching WION. The world is one.